I was sitting at my kitchen table staring at the engagement ring Amanda had left behind. 3 years together, all the plans we had made for our spring wedding, all those weekend hikes and quiet dinners. Gone. Just like that. Because her best friend Trent convinced her I was toxic. The funny thing is, I never saw it coming. Or maybe I did, but I did not want to believe that someone could destroy what we built with just a few carefully planted words. Before we get into how someone else's opinion can destroy what you thought was solid, let me know where you are watching from, in the comments. And if you have ever dealt with someone trying to sabotage your relationship, hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, you will want to see how this plays out. I met Amanda 3 years ago at a small coffee shop in downtown Portland. She was sitting by the window working on her laptop, and I accidentally bumped her table while carrying my order. We laughed about it, started talking, and before I knew it, we had spent 2 hours just chatting about everything and nothing. She worked in marketing for a tech startup, loved hiking on weekends, and had this infectious energy that made everyone around her smile. Our relationship grew naturally. We would spend Saturdays exploring trails around Mount Hood, cooking dinner together on Sunday nights, and binge-watching shows until we fell asleep on the couch. It felt easy, comfortable, right? After 2 years of dating, I proposed at that same coffee shop where we first met. She said yes without hesitation, and we started planning our future together. Amanda moved into my apartment about a year before everything fell apart. I had bought the place 3 years earlier before we even met, and it was completely in my name. I paid the mortgage, property taxes, insurance, all of it. Amanda contributed to utilities and groceries, which seemed fair to both of us at the time. We were building a life together, and I never thought twice about the arrangement. We were engaged, after all. In a few months we would be married, and everything would officially be ours. That is when Trent started showing up more frequently. Trent had been Amanda's best friend since college. He was a freelance graphic designer who worked from home and seemed to have an endless amount of free time. In the beginning, I did not think much of it. Your partner's friends are your friends, right? I wanted Amanda to maintain her friendships. I never wanted to be that guy who isolated his partner from the people she cared about. But Trent had a habit of inserting himself into our lives at the worst possible moments. He would call at 8 o'clock at night, claiming he desperately needed Amanda's opinion on a project. He would show up unannounced on Saturday mornings when we had planned to go hiking together. He always seemed to be hanging around the same coffee shops and restaurants where we went on dates. It felt less like coincidence and more like surveillance. I started noticing how Trent would steer conversations toward relationship dynamics whenever he was around. He would casually mention articles he had read about toxic masculinity or controlling behaviors in relationships. He would tell stories about friends who had escaped bad partnerships, and Amanda would nod along, absorbing every word like gospel. One evening I came home early from work and overheard Amanda on the phone with Trent. I was not trying to eavesdrop, but our apartment was not that big, and she was talking loud enough that I could hear from the hallway. Trent was going on about toxic masculinity and controlling behaviors, and Amanda was agreeing with him. She said something like, "You are right. Men today do not understand how to respect personal space." It made my stomach turn. Were they talking about me? I had never tried to control Amanda. I had never monitored her phone, demanded to know where she was, or told her who she could see. I just wanted us to have time together as a couple, without constant interruptions. The following week, Amanda started asking strange questions about our finances. She wanted to know why she did not have more say in how we spent money. She asked why the bank account we shared for household expenses was primarily managed by me. I tried to explain that the apartment was mine. I paid the mortgage, and the shared account was just for bills and groceries. She was welcome to contribute more or have more input, But ultimately, these were expenses I had been covering long before she moved in. Amanda was not satisfied with my explanation. She told me that Trent had pointed out this was a classic sign of financial control. I felt my blood pressure rising. Trent again. Always Trent, whispering in her ear, twisting normal relationship dynamics into something sinister. Things came to a head one weekend when I suggested we go hiking, just the two of us. It had been weeks since we had any quality time alone. Amanda immediately said that Trent wanted to come along because he was stressed about work and needed friends around him. I put my foot down. I told her this was our time, and we needed space as a couple. She exploded. She called me selfish. She said Trent had been right about me all along. I was controlling, I did not respect her friendships. I was isolating her from the people who cared about her. I stood there stunned as the woman I loved threw accusations at me that had clearly been fed to her by someone else. That was the first time I truly felt our relationship slipping away. Over the next few weeks, Trent escalated his interference. He started sending Amanda articles and social media posts about red flags in relationships. One night, I accidentally saw her phone light up on the coffee table. The messages from Trent were right there on the screen. He does not let you make decisions about the apartment, classic control freak. You deserve someone who treats you as an equal, not a guest in his space. I confronted Amanda about it. I told her that Trent was manipulating her, trying to drive a wedge between us. She turned it around on me. She said Trent was just looking out for her, that he understood her better than I gave him credit for. She said I was being defensive, which was another red flag Trent had warned her about. I tried to stay calm. I explained that I was not controlling her. I just wanted healthy boundaries in our relationship. The apartment was legally mine, but she was welcome to live there and make it feel like home. I was not stopping her from seeing her friends. I just did not want her best friend constantly invading our private time together. But Amanda was not hearing any of it. In her mind, Trent had already poisoned every explanation I could offer. Amanda started pulling away. She stopped cooking dinner with me. She declined my invitations to go hiking. She spent most evenings on the phone with Trent, locked in her own world, while I sat in the living room wondering how we had gotten to this point. The woman who used to laugh at my terrible jokes and fall asleep holding my hand now looked at me like I was a stranger. One night she demanded that I add her name to the apartment deed. She said if I really loved her, I would make her an equal owner of the property. I refused. We were not married yet. I had bought the apartment with my own money years before we even met. It did not make sense to add her name to the deed before we were legally bound to each other. That is what marriage was for, to combine our lives and assets in a legal partnership. Amanda lost it. She called me manipulative and financially abusive. She said I was using money to control her, just like Trent had predicted. I was floored. I pointed out that she was not paying the mortgage. She only contributed a few $100s a month for utilities and groceries. How was it financial abuse to maintain ownership of something I had purchased and continued to pay for entirely on my own? She did not care about logic. In her mind, Trent had given her a framework, and everything I said or did was filtered through that lens. I was the villain, and Trent was the hero trying to save her. The breaking point came on a Friday night. Trent showed up at our apartment at 9 o'clock, uninvited. I was watching a basketball game, trying to relax after a long week. Amanda let him in, and they went straight to the bedroom to talk. I felt disrespected. This was my home, and her friend was treating it like a hangout spot at whatever hour he pleased. I walked to the bedroom and asked them to move their conversation to the living room. It seemed like a reasonable request. Trent smirked and said, "See, he is even controlling where you can talk to your friends." I lost my patience. I asked Trent directly what he was trying to do to my relationship. I asked him why he felt the need to constantly interfere in our lives. He did not back down. He said he was protecting Amanda from my toxic behavior. He said she deserved better than someone who treated her like a tenant in his apartment. He said real men do not need to control everything. Amanda jumped to his defense. She turned on me and said I had just proven everything Trent had been telling her. I was aggressive. I did not respect her friends. I was trying to isolate her. I tried to explain one more time that I was not being controlling. I just wanted boundaries. I wanted our relationship to be between us, not a three-person circus with Trent playing puppet master. She was not listening. She said she needed space to think. Trent offered to take her to his place so she could clear her head. I watched them leave together, and I knew deep down that this was the beginning of the end. 3 days later, Amanda came back with Trent by her side. She told me she was moving out. She said she could not live with someone as toxic as me anymore. I tried to reason with her. I tried to remind her of everything we had been through together, all the good times, the future we had planned. But Trent had spent weeks filling her head with doubts, and now there was no room left for my voice. She listed all my supposed crimes. I was controlling about finances. I did not give her privacy. I did not respect her friendships. I was emotionally manipulative. Every single accusation came straight from Trent's playbook. She had stopped thinking for herself and started parroting his talking points. I realized there was no point in fighting anymore. If she wanted to leave, I was not going to beg her to stay. I watched as she packed her things with Trent, helping her carry boxes to his car. He shot me a smug look on his way out and said, "She is better off without you, man." I did not respond. I just let them go. A week later, I got a call from Kevin, a mutual friend. He asked if I knew Amanda was living with Trent now. I was not surprised. Kevin told me something I had not known before. Trent had been in love with Amanda for years. Everyone in their friend group knew it, except her, and apparently me. Trent had never been able to get over her, and when she started dating me, he saw it as a personal loss. Suddenly, everything made sense. Trent was not trying to protect Amanda. He was trying to have her for himself. He spent months undermining me, planting seeds of doubt, twisting innocent actions into red flags, all so he could position himself as the better alternative. And Amanda, blinded by years of friendship and trust, fell for it completely. Kevin also mentioned that Amanda was already driving Trent crazy. She was demanding. She complained about everything. She expected him to cater to her every need. Kevin laughed and said, "Good luck to him." I decided it was time to take action, but not in the way anyone expected. I called a locksmith and had all the locks on my apartment changed. A few days later, Amanda called me furious because her key no longer worked. I calmly told her that it was no longer her home. She had moved out. If she wanted to pick up the rest of her things, she could schedule a time, but first we needed to settle some financial matters. She was confused. Financial matters. What was I talking about? I explained it to her very clearly. For the past year, she had lived in my apartment. She had contributed only to utilities and groceries, maybe $300 a month. I had paid the mortgage, property taxes, insurance, and maintenance costs. If we were going to treat this like a landlord-tenant situation, which is exactly what she and Trent had accused me of, then she owed me back rent. I did the math. Fair market value for half the rent on a 2-bedroom apartment in our neighborhood was about $1,200 a month. Over 12 months, that came to $14,400. Add in the groceries, I had bought the dinners we had shared, the weekend trips we had taken, and the total came to around $19,400. Amanda was livid. She said I was insane. We had been a couple. She should not have to pay rent. I agreed with her in principle. When we were together, I never expected her to pay rent because we were building a life together. But she had made it clear through her words and actions that she felt like a tenant, not a partner. So I was simply giving her what she asked for. A bill. I created a detailed invoice. Rent, groceries, shared expenses, everything itemized. I sent it via email to both Amanda and Trent. The subject line read, "Invoice for living expenses. Please remit within 30 days." In the email, I wrote, "Since you believed I was financially abusive and controlling, I have calculated what fair market value would have been. Trent, since you are now her landlord and support system, I am sending this to you as well. Please arrange payment at your earliest convenience." Amanda called me repeatedly, screaming into the phone. I did not answer. Trent sent threatening text messages telling me I could not do this. I blocked his number. I was done playing games. They wanted to paint me as the villain, so I gave them exactly what they accused me of, in the most legally sound way possible. 2 weeks passed. I focused on work, reconnected with old friends, and started going to the gym regularly. Life without Amanda was quieter, simpler, and surprisingly peaceful. I did not miss the constant tension, the second-guessing, the feeling that I was always one step away from being accused of something I did not do. On the 14th night, my phone rang from an unknown number. I almost did not answer, but curiosity got the better of me. It was Trent. His voice sounded exhausted, defeated. He said we needed to talk. I stayed silent, waiting for him to continue. He admitted he had made a mistake. He said Amanda was impossible to live with. She demanded that he pay for everything. She complained that his apartment was too small and not nice enough. She wanted him to add her name to his lease. She expected him to be available 24 hours a day. She criticized everything he did, from how he cooked to how he organized his workspace. Trent said, "Dude, I do not know how you dealt with this for 3 years." I told him the truth. I dealt with it because I loved her. He just wanted to prove he could take her from me. He admitted that he had been in love with Amanda since college and saw me as competition. Now that he had her, he realized the fantasy was nothing like the reality. Then he asked the question I had been waiting for. He wanted to know if I could talk to Amanda, maybe convince her to come back to me. I laughed. I told him he wanted her, he got her, and now he was responsible. That included the $19,400 bill. He was shocked. He said there was no way he was paying that. I told him he was living with her now, so he was responsible for her expenses. "That is how it works, right?" He sputtered, tried to argue, but I had heard enough. I told him good luck and hung up. A few days later, Amanda called. She was crying. She said she had made a terrible mistake. Trent was not the person she thought he was. He was controlling, demanding, and only wanted her for himself. She finally saw what I had been trying to tell her all along. She asked if we could try again. I said no. I told her she had chosen to believe someone else over the person who had spent 3 years loving her, supporting her, and building a future with her. She had let Trent poison everything good we had. She did not respect me, and she did not respect what I had given her. I wished her well, and ended the call. The first few weeks after Amanda left were hard. I would come home to an empty apartment and feel the weight of everything I had lost. I replayed conversations in my mind, wondering if I could have said or done something differently. But deep down, I knew the truth. This was not my fault. I had been a good partner. I had set reasonable boundaries. I had tried to protect what we built together. Trent had been the poison, and Amanda had willingly drunk it. Slowly, things got better. I reconnected with friends I had not seen in months. I threw myself into my work and earned a promotion. I started hiking alone, rediscovering the trails I used to love before Amanda and I made them our routine. I joined a gym and focused on my health. Life became quieter, but it also became mine again. No one was questioning my decisions. No one was twisting my words. No one was making me feel like a villain in my own home. 3 months after Amanda moved out, I felt lighter than I had in years. I did not regret letting her go. I did not regret refusing to take her back. I had learned something valuable about boundaries, self-respect, and the importance of protecting your peace. Looking back, I realized that boundaries are not the same as control. Wanting private time with your partner is not isolation. Protecting your financial assets before marriage is not abuse. These are healthy, normal things that every person has a right to. Trent tried to reframe them as toxic behaviors because it served his agenda. Amanda believed him because she trusted him more than she trusted her own experience with me. I also learned that love requires trust. If your partner is constantly questioning your motives, listening to outside voices over your own, and viewing everything you do through a lens of suspicion, the relationship is already over. You cannot build a future with someone who sees you as the enemy. The most important lesson, though, was about self-love. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is walk away. I could have begged Amanda to come back. I could have tried to prove myself over and over again. But I chose to respect myself enough to let her go. She made her choice, and I made mine. I do not hate Amanda or Trent. I do not wish bad things on them. I just know that they are no longer my problem. Amanda wanted freedom from my so-called control, and I gave it to her. Trent wanted Amanda, and he got her. They both got exactly what they asked for. What they do with it now is entirely up to them. As for me, I am living my life on my terms. I wake up every morning in my own apartment, the one I worked hard to buy, and I feel grateful. Grateful for the peace, grateful for the clarity, grateful that I escaped before we got married, and things became even more complicated. Sometimes the most toxic thing in a relationship is not the person you are with, but the voice of someone else in their ear. And sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away and let them figure it out for themselves. They will, eventually. But by then, you will be long gone, living your best life. So let me ask you, have you ever had someone try to sabotage your relationship? How did you handle it? Drop your story in the comments below. If this resonated with you, smash that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories. Share this with anyone who needs to hear it. And remember, protecting your peace is not selfish. It is necessary. Thanks for listening, and I hope you find the strength to stand up for yourself no matter what anyone else says. Take care.